Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to 88.7 KWDM, The Point. And we have a special segment today on 88.7 KWDM, The Point, the show, where we bring in some of the coolest guests and make them the point. My name is Ian Nelson, and today it was with great pleasure that we get to sit down and talk with the members of the longest-running club here at Valley, Amos, Hanser, and Andrew Bonkafo-Efofa of the Bakers Dozen Mime Group. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hello, yeah.
First off, can you each talk about your history with the group? How long have you been with the group, and what has it meant to you with your time here?
Andrew, you go first.
Oh, well, I have been with the Bakers Dozen for 2 years. I joined when I was a junior. And ever since then, it's been like Bakers Dozen's been my life. Like, I wouldn't imagine any other Sunday, going the way it would be going without Bakers Dozen. It's been so cool.
Yeah, for me, I joined as a sophomore. This is my third year and my fifth official show, my last one. And it's just mean the whole, it means the whole world. It's only an hour commitment on a Sunday, but I spend my whole week just waiting for that Sunday to come around so I can pitch my skit and have 13 mimes in my basement.
So you guys do have a show tomorrow night. Can you give a little information on what it's called, when is it, and what goes on during a mime show?
So yeah, tomorrow is the Spring Nite O'Mime. It's we've been doing spring nights and fall nights since the troupe was started, and it's our big show. We do 2 of them a year outside of our road shows, and it's a long one. We do an hour worth of skits. It's probably 30, almost 40 skits throughout the show. And yeah, I don't know. We try to get a big laugh, maybe get a couple meaningful ones in there too, and entertain an audience.
Can you talk a little about the process of making a skit and kind of how you decide who's in it and how long each skit is?
Yeah, so the skit making process is what we practice basically throughout the whole year. Every Sunday at our meetings, you're required to bring one skit to the meeting, and you just write a comedy skit. That's the basis of it. It doesn't need to be casted already, but the more finished, the better, And then at the end of the year, we'll go over the hundreds of skits that we've pitched throughout the course of the year, and we decide which ones are the best, and that's how we put them in the show.
So you talked about the hundreds of skits that you guys create every year leading up to the Fall Nite O'Mime and the Spring Nite O'Mime. Have there been any skits, or is there one that sits with you that you haven't been able to perform but has been your favorite?
That I haven't been able to perform? What do you mean by that?
That kind of got canceled out before you eventually finished your schedule, or do all skits that get pitched eventually get performed one way or the other?
I would say the finished skits get put into the show. If it's a skit that you've pitched and it hasn't really been fleshed out, it never really makes it. What you can do though, if you really want to if it's your second year, your first year in BD, you pitched the skit, it didn't really go the way you wanted it to, no one really liked it. The next year after that, you can resub a skit, which is basically just pitching the skit again and having it be more fleshed out and more finished. That gives it a better shot of getting into the show. I remember for this Fall Nite O'Mime, actually, I resubbed a skit I pitched my junior year called Bikini Hospital. It was a lovely skit, and I got in this year, so yeah.
Is there a skit that you have enjoyed, maybe that you didn't necessarily bring up, but that you love performing in?
Oh my gosh. Well, for me last year, there was this mimery we brought back from a decade ago called Inflatable Love, and it's the story of a guy and his love that's not real. She's a blow-up doll, but it was a really fun one to put on.
So when you're on stage, what is that feeling like? What about performing mime makes you want to keep doing it? You've done it, Andrew, for 2 years, and this is your third year now being a Bakers Dozen Mime. Why do you just keep coming back day in, day out, Sunday after Sunday, Nite O'Mime after Nite O'Mime? What is it about that feeling?
So as a mime, we have nicknames, we have mime names, And the way I like to think of it is like when I'm on stage, I'm not Andrew. My mime name is Gilgamesh. I'm Gilgamesh on stage. I'm Gilgamesh the Lavender Mime. I'm not myself. I'm an extension of myself. And I feel like that just helps me like leave it all out there on the stage. Sorry, what was the second half of your question?
I mean, that's kind of it. What about performing mime, being Gilgamesh the Lavender Mime, makes you just want to keep doing it?
The energy from the crowd's just like electric. I love performing, and I love like doing something meaningful for people. And if that's acting stupid in a leotard and tights on stage, that'll be what it is, you know?
You're nodding your head, Amos. Is there anything that you want to say about that feeling of being on stage, the crowd's energy every year?
Yeah, I mean, just as the Bakers Dozen, I think we do a lot to separate the person and the mime, and hence why we have names, and our uniform is interesting, and we cover ourselves in makeup trying to personify somebody else. Not only in each individual skit where we play a character, but throughout the whole show. Like, I'm Bookasnook during my show. I'm not Amos. And it's just that real out-of-body experience to get to be a mime. You know, I'm a mime for a good hour on stage, and people are just laughing and laughing and laughing. And the power to bring such joy to people like that is just so special.
You talked a little bit about your costume. Can one of you explain what that costume is when you're actually on stage performing?
Yeah, so it's tight.
Yeah.
There's a series of undergarments followed by a pair of very black tights and a leotard, and then we wear either ballet or jazz shoes. And then we do a full face of mime makeup, which is like a white face paint with some details. And then the signature for the Bakers Dozen Mime is we hand sew a bib and cuffs. The bib kind of mocks what a tuxedo would look like, and same with the cuffs with like cufflinks and buttons and a rickrack and a bow. And then we all, each individually as mimes, have a color that kind of signifies who we are as a mime. So for instance, I'm hot pink and Andrew here is lavender.
You said that the costume is very tight. Is there any specific part of the costume that is the most annoying to either put on, to take off, or just to wear?
So, you know, we're mimes, and you want to feel tucked in while you're on stage, you know? I want to keep this family friendly, but we wear a leotard, and we don't want the audience to be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
So it's tight.
It's tight, yep.
A jockstrap or a dance belt. That's probably the most annoying part to put on. And God, there's a disgusting story that I'm just not going to tell. Yeah.
That's no issue. For any of our student listeners here or who know about the Bakers Dozen Mime Group, you may have seen people walking around in crazy get-ups throughout this week. Can you talk about what those themes are for this week was, and kind of the history behind dressing up on show week?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I don't know when they started dressing up for show week, because our sponsor now, who is in almost the first group here, he's going on 70 this year. He didn't dress up back when they did it, but somewhere in between then and now, they started dressing up, and we have a few staples. We start off on Monday with WTF Day, or What the Funk Day. And the goal is that as we walk by, people are like, yo, WTF, what is that guy wearing? And then Tuesday is the day we pick ourselves each week that is different by show. So this Tuesday we did Time Traveler Tuesday, where we all dressed up as a different era in time. I was the Renaissance, and Andrew was medieval. He was in a whole suit of armor. Props to him. And then Wednesday is Color Day, in which we dress head to toe in our mime color. And Thursday is Jersey Day, in which we wear our shirts and our Converse and our select colors, and we get ready for the show. That one's kind of our break. It's more of a normal outfit. But we started doing this. I know they started doing this as basically a walking advertisement. You know, some think of it as like a humiliation ritual, if you will, but it's really just to draw attention to ourselves. And people are like, yo, why do you look like that? And it's like, well, I got a show on Thursday. You should come.
Speaking of that, like, embarrassment thing, some of the outfits are very eye-catching, especially on the Monday WTF day. How do you kind of handle the weird looks that some students may give, or how do you handle the embarrassment aspect of dressing up in some of the craziest outfits that students may see their entire school year?
You've really got to take it in stride, you know? Like, if someone, like, gives, like, a really, like, nasty look to you in the hallway, you just tell them, hey, come to the mime show on Thursday. If you don't say anything, it's their loss, really. Also today, I'm wearing a different prescription on my glasses, so I can't really see the weird looks. So that's probably for the best.
I know the themes change slightly every year. Usually you keep some of the same ones, like the color and the WTF have been a staple. But I know your Eras one this week has been different than some of the past. So can you share what your favorite theme that you have ever done was in your 3 years, Amos, and in your 2 years, Andrew?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think of the staples. Color Day, in general, has always been my favorite. I'm hot pink. It's a blast to dress in head to toe hot pink. You know, it's a real treat. And then I guess this isn't one I did, but it was one my brother did. It was called Taxidermy Tuesday, and they dressed in animal print. Every single mime had a combination of animal print. So they had zebra and leopard and tiger, and they wore cat ears and dog ears and paws, and it was really, really embarrassing, kind of furry-esque, but that was a fun one to see.
I would probably say my favorite one that I've done is probably Color Day, like Amos. Like, it's amazing just dressing in like a full like mute color and putting that out there. My favorite like day that I've seen, it was my freshman year. I was in French 1. And I walk into class and I see Josh Nepple sitting down wearing a full safari outfit. I ask him, Josh, why are you dressed so weird? And he says, oh, Andrew, this is the mime show. It's for the mime show. Come watch it. So, yeah, that's probably my favorite.
You guys mentioned a little bit earlier that you have a sponsor and thing at Valley, and just for safety reasons, every club, every organization group has to have a sponsor, a mentor, a leader. But for you guys, I know your sponsor is a little bit special. Can you kind of talk about just why your sponsor for the BD is more special than other groups, and kind of why he means so much to you guys? I remember, I think I was the Fall Nite O'Mime this year. You guys dressed up in all of his different eras. So why is he just so special to you guys as a group?
I mean, I think on the club front, I think what makes BD a little different is that our sponsors have historically always been former mimes. You know, it was Tim, and then before him, Ted Vandevenner served for like 20 plus years, and there was all sorts, and they've all been mimes in the past, so they all have a special connection to the group, and they know how much it means to the kids. But I think for Tim specifically, he is just a bundle of joy. You know, he is so happy, so positive, and so funny. Mm-hmm. You know, he comes to the meetings at my house, and it doesn't feel like there's this random adult here to supervise us. It feels like he's there having fun with us. Like, yes, keeping us in line, but also, like, he's part of the fun. And I don't know what BD would be without Tim Brown sitting there on my couch.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I've had the chance to work with Tim Brown, and I agree. Just a bundle of joy, willing to help everybody. He's a Valley alum, been here. He was actually a former 88.7 member.
Really?
He was on the radio station, so back in the day, he had a disc jockey, a DJ for the station. So long time Valley just helper, as you will. Moving on. You'll see tomorrow, as you mentioned, it's your Jersey Day. You'll wear the big BD logo, which is BD in a circle with the big BD logo. It's a very unique name, something that is very unique to this group and to Valley. There's not many groups that have a name like that. Do you know, or can you give some insight on the history of the name of Bakers Dozen?
Yes, I actually do, and it's a kind of funny story. So, way back in the day when the club was started, pantomime, the art of pantomime or mime, was a very popular thing. Like for instance, JFK, the president, had a mime troupe, and a different high school, it was Roosevelt, I believe, had a mime troupe, and some kids at Valley said, "Hey, we should do that too. That looks really fun." And so they all got together at some guy's house, and they were like, all right, it's time to be a mime troupe. What should we name ourselves? And I believe it was the guy's house. His mom comes downstairs, and she says, well, there's 13 of you. Why not call yourselves the Bakers Dozen? And I think they just stuck with it.
So I think that's a really cool story because it's not only the fact that it's the 13, and there's less people than 13 now. How many people are in the group now?
13.
Is it 13? So is that kind of just a thing? You kept the 13 as well as you can?
Always. Well, it's different for Fall Nite O'Mime and Spring Nite O'Mime. For spring, we always have 13, and then at the end of Spring Night, our seniors graduate and leave, as in me and Andrew will leave as of tomorrow, no longer be mimes. And then they spend the summer with whatever's left, and most of the times 8. There's only 4 seniors this year, so they'll have 9 over the summer, a bigger troop. But then in the fall, they'll hold auditions again, and they'll take as many babies as they need until they get back up to 13.
Yeah, because I think it's very cool. We've said Bakers Dozen BD so many times, but if you say that, especially around here at Valley, if you say BD or Bakers Dozen, you guys will be known. Like, everybody knows the goofy outfits, the amazing shows that you put on twice a year. What does that mean, just to have something that is so recognizable? Yes, it may be embarrassing at times, but it's a thing that gives people laughs. It makes people feel something twice a year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so special. It's so special to, like, have that effect on people, to, like, really bring it brings meaning to, like, my life to be a Bakers Dozen Mime. I love performing for people, and I love putting a smile on people's faces. And, you know, if I have to dress weird for, like, 2 weeks of the year, so be it. Like, it's awesome. It's an awesome thing, and I'm truly never going to forget it.
You both are seniors, you mentioned, and there are 2 other seniors, 2 other gentlemen, Jonah Burton and Elijah Quadiba, along with you two. But in this interview, you've talked with so much joy and passion about this group. What would you say to any underclassmen who see your performance or see you guys in your costumes and may be a little interested in joining but maybe on the fence? What would you say to those people?
Man, audition for the Bakers Dozen Mimes. I will say it so many times. Please, 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 please audition for the Bakers Dozen Mimes. There's a lot of people. Actually, our sponsor, Tim Brown, you know, he loves the mimes so much that he came back as a 70-year-old man, almost 70-year-old man, and decided to sponsor them. And he wasn't even going to originally audition for the Bakers Dozen Mimes. He was a drama kid and a 88.7 kid, and they pulled him out of the hallway on the day of auditions, and they said, Tim Brown, it would be a real shame if you didn't audition for BD. And he made it that year, and 2 years later was the president, and now, a couple decades later, he's the sponsor. So please, just audition.
A million. Yeah, I would say, please, like, put yourself out there. This year, I feel like a common misconception about our troupe is that, I don't know if it's a misconception for some years, but people think that we only let our friends, our acquaintances into the troupe, so they don't audition because they're like, well, we already know who they're going to put in. But this year we have this baby who, she just walked in. She just walked into the audition. She did it, and it was amazing. It was amazing. We were like, wow, who is that? We need her in BD. And she made it, and she's going to be the orange mime, and you guys should wear orange, but also wear some lavender too.
Yeah, okay.
Just one last thing. You guys mentioned you have the 2 shows every year, the Fall Nite O'Mime at the beginning of the school year, the Spring Nite O'Mime at the end of the school year. But you also mentioned road shows, which are typically during the summer. Can you talk a little about what those are, and do you know if the remaining members after the Spring Nite O'Mime will continue those?
Yeah, so road shows, they've kind of been a dead art for BD for a while. They were like the pinnacle of BD is that, you know, you do your 2 shows, but then you spend the entire year out and about throughout the community. And then when COVID came along, it really, really broke that culture down. And so we've spent some years rebuilding, is what I'll say. And as of this year, I booked us a bunch more road shows, and we spent every other week at the Valley Junction Farmers Market in Mime, and we did a couple like fundraisers outside of that. And I think road shows are such an experience for the baby night mimes from that spring night. That's when they get to learn. You know, they tend to spend a summer not doing a whole lot else, but they're still every Sunday. They're going to the president's house and they're pitching a mime, and then they're getting ready. They're getting up in their leotard and tights, and then they're going out and about throughout the community, spreading joy and practicing the art of mime.
Yeah, I've seen the photos. It gets hot, especially in the summer. See the makeup wiping down. Not to put you on the spot, Amos, but you are the president. You've mentioned kind of at the president's house, you said that a lot of the practice. Can you talk a little bit about like the election process and kind of what that looks like as for this group? Right.
So the election process for a group of 13 people tends to be pretty small because there's only 13, and when you're electing, there's only like 8. Right, with graduating seniors. So really the seniors that feel that they will do the best job of leadership and feel like they have what it takes to do that will put themselves forward, and they'll say, hey, please vote me for president, please vote me for vice president, and then we'll get there. We do it after Spring Nite O'Mime. Yeah. We have our own rituals after that, but in the middle of those, we hold a brief election in which they can make a statement saying, hi, my name's Amos Hanser, and I will make a good president because of blah, 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 blah. And then we cast votes, and they're elected just like that. And I may be slightly partial to you guys as fellow seniors and knowing you guys since freshman year. I think you guys are probably one of the best presidents we've had. You brought back the road shows, which, like you said, have been a dying thing since COVID. And there have been multiple troops since COVID that would have been able to, but you finally did that job. And I think it really speaks to not only your love for this group, but your passion and your willingness to bring it to the public eye once again and show why BD, why Bakers Dozen is such a great thing. But that is all I have for you guys today on 88.7. Thank you so much, Amos and Andrew, for your time. And remember, catch the Bakers Dozen Mime Group this Thursday for the Spring Nite O'Mime at 6:30 p.m. in the PAC. Entry is free and laughs are guaranteed. Thank you so much, Amos Hanser, Books of Snook, the Hot Pink Mime, and Andrew Bonkafo-Efofa, the Lavender Mime, Mr. Gilgamesh. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great rest of your day. And keep tuning in to 88.7 KWDM, The Point.
88.7 KWDM West Des Moines, your home for modern rock.